Wel, croeso bawb i'r sesiwn yma. Welcome to this particular session, Adjusting to University Life. Pa mor anodd yw hi? Pa mor heriol yw hi? Well, we've got 4 people here who can really give you some sound advice on how they adjusted. Was it challenging or was it straightforward? We'll hear from them in a moment, but they've got to introduce themselves first. So take it away. I'm going to start with you, Ryan. Tell us who you are.
My name's Ryan. I'm 18. I'm originally from Swansea, but I'm studying at Cardiff University. I'm doing my first year of law and politics degree.
Croeso mawr, Ryan. Nesa, Molly.
Hi, I'm Molly. I'm from the Rhondda, but I'm currently studying Maths and Education at Durham University.
Gwych, croeso Molly. Rosa nesa.
Hi, I'm Rosa. I'm from Swansea. I'm 19 years old and I'm currently studying Human, Social and Political Sciences at Cambridge.
Croeso ti, Rosa. A Brennig.
Hi, I'm Brennig. I'm from Wenvo in the Vale of Glamorgan and I've just finished a degree in English Language and Literature at Oxford.
Felly, 4 sy'n barod i rhoi cyngor i chi. But we're going to go to your questions, and that's we've got a list of questions here. And the first question, we're very aware that you are year 12 and you've just done your GCSE. So the question is the jump from A-level to uni as large as the jump from GCSE to A-level in terms of workload? And how best to prepare for it? So that's a long question. Because I'm going to go to Ryan, because he's just done that jump and that adjustment. Ryan, how do you answer this one?
Personally, I thought that the jump from A-level to uni was bigger, personally, just because some of my A-levels, they were quite similar to my GCSEs. So when we started, it just felt like building blocks. I think with uni, it was just, you were like just really thrown into it, and you've just got to find your way, sort of find your independence sort of with the workload, make yourself a nice little schedule and stuff like that, just to be able to help you adjust. But, obviously I don't be scared, you will get there eventually. It just takes a bit of time to get used to.
Yeah, so don't fret about it too much. Rosa, was it the same for you?
Yeah, I'd completely agree, not going to lie. So obviously I attended a Welsh medium comprehensive school. So going from GCSE to A-level, still studying through the medium of Welsh, I found that quite easy to ease into as such. But obviously doing that jump then from university from A-level to university and having to make the switch in English, that was quite a big step for me, having not really written any essays since GCSE through the medium of English. And also it was the same for me in the sense that my GCSEs were pretty similar to my A-levels. So again, it was pretty good to ease into. However, going into university, I hadn't studied any of the topics I'm doing currently at A-level. So I'm doing politics, sociology and anthropology at the moment. And I hadn't even done politics A-level. So having to adjust to that at the beginning was pretty difficult. But what I did over the summer before starting at Cambridge was kind of just maybe not necessarily diving into some really serious books of like political philosophy as such, but rather maybe just keeping up with the news or just listening to podcasts. There's a lot of good ones out there, just to kind of get to grips with what I was about to study.
Great advice. Diolch yn fawr I ti, Rosa. Brennig, you went to a Welsh medium school too, but obviously you were studying English, so the language itself wasn't an issue for you, I imagine. But what was your experience?
No, yeah, it was a little bit easier for me in that sense. I think, the opposite to these two. I think that the jump from GCSE to A-level was for me much harder, because of just the kind of range and the amount that you have to cover in all these different subjects, and going from 5 lessons a day with homework for each in the evening to the fact that at university, studying humanities or a language subject, you would probably have fewer contact hours, so you maybe will have I don't know, I think maybe like 1 contact hour a day was maybe what I had, and then the rest of the time was independent study. So it just suddenly felt like, to me, there was all this time that I didn't have before, and the work is harder, I think, but the kind of amount of time, like I said, that you have to dedicate yourself to it means that I think it's easy. I think you've done the hard bit, basically.
It's great that you've got these different approaches, really, and that if you listening to this call now and this Q&A, so some of you will feel one thing, the others will feel different. So it's great that we're hearing this. So it's not one way on the highway. We say that all the time. Diolch yn fawr I ti, Brennig. Molly, what was it like for you?
Yeah, I would say that the jump to uni is bigger. It's been for me personally. I mean, with my maths, like the way they do it, the notation is so different. I mean, I'm nearly finished my first term, and it's only now that I'm starting to like find my feet and things are starting to make sense a bit more, you know. But there's a lot of content. I thought there was a lot of content at A level, but I mean, I'll be in a maths lecture and they'll teach me like 4 theorems and be like, yeah, that's fine, just go and do the questions now. And I'm like, can I get some more examples? But yeah, I'm starting to find my feet a bit more. I think actually it kind of helps with my education that I haven't studied it before, because I sort of didn't have any expectations going into it. I'm kind of just taking it as it goes, whereas I was pretty much used to doing maths, having done it at A level. But it's nothing like, it's manageable, you know, if you just put some time in, and you'll just get to know it, and be kind to yourself as well, because it is a whole different ball game coming to uni.
Yeah, pwynt da ti fyna. Diolch yn fawr, Molly. I am going to go to you, Molly, next, because this question I know is relevant to you. It's about gap years, because I'm very aware. I've read your biogs, all of you, and thank you. Please look at those on Eventbox. Really good to read your biogs. It says here, do you recommend taking a gap year before starting university? Ydyn beth da, Molly?
Wel, fi methu siarad i pawb, ond i fi roedd yn y peth gorau fi erioed wedi gwneud. Fel, cyn actually cymryd y gap year, nes i meddwl, oh, should I, sort of thing. Ond achos Covid, I was kind of forced into it. But actually, I'm so glad. I was coming to uni last year. I had no idea what I wanted to do. I was just going with the flow, doing what I thought I had to do. But actually, like taking the year out, I personally worked in a school and got work experience. And I'm now coming back to uni studying education. And I know exactly what I want to do. I mean, some of my friends here, they're like, oh, I'm so jealous. I wish I did a gap year, because you know what you want, and you know you've got a goal in mind. So for me, it was the best thing ever. Also, like from obviously not just an academic point of view, I feel like I've grown so much as a person as well. I don't think I would have been able to have been as independent and handled university as well had I not have had that year of working. My confidence has gone so much better just through like the experience of having a job and working with children. So my experience of a gap year is very positive, but I know that some people are against it, so that's fine as well. But do what's right for you. Don't do what you think you have to do.
And Molly, that gap year, you changed your opinion about what you were going to do during that gap year, didn't you? So tell us a little bit about that, and how did you change your mind?
So I was going to just study maths last year, and I loved maths. I was happy with that. And then once I sort of started working in a school, my job was delivering maths interventions to children with additional learning needs. And I fell in love with it. I love the whole concept. So when I was sort of looking for my university, I was very much like, oh, I want something that kind of fits into what I'd like to do, because I'd like to go into that further, you know, making the interventions myself. So my course now at Durham, I was very picky about where I was going to go, but it enables me to do that perfectly. Like it enables me to do the right education modules and the right maths modules that hopefully it'll all tie together at the end.
Molly, I think I need you as a maths teacher. I'd have loved to be in your class. I can sense it coming through. Diolch yn fawr I ti, Molly. Did any of the others, I haven't picked up, none of you have taken a gap year. So, and was there a particular decision why not? You don't have to answer that one. Anybody want to respond to that one? Did you consider it?
I just think for me, I wanted to go straight from one part of education to another. I thought maybe for me personally, a gap year would maybe disrupt the way, as in my work schedule as such. And even with COVID, I didn't necessarily consider taking a gap year. I just wanted to get straight stuck into the new course that I was about to start.
Diolch yn fawr. So you see, whatever you think is, as Molly said, what's right for you will be the right decision for you. So we've heard both sides of the stories there. Feels as we're in a court case, getting the pros and cons from everybody, but they're all smiling on the screen. Okay, question nesa. How hard is it settling into university life? We've covered a bit of the work, so let's go to university life. Brennig, how hard was it for you to settle into university life?
I think it was quite hard, actually, harder than I thought, because it was, I think one of the main issues that I had with the kind of adjusting to university life was actually homesickness, which, sorry.
Don't worry, it's lovely hearing the dog barking, Brenny, come ymlaen.
Yeah, when I say homesickness, not this, like, yeah, like, I think I hadn't spent very much time away from home before, away from my family and my friends. I'd been the same school, you know, with the same people since I was very young, and then suddenly in a new city with all new people, in a new country as well, obviously, like Wales to England, and that felt like very difficult at first, but I think it is something that did fade over time. Luckily, once I got more used to things and began to feel more at home in Oxford, that, you know, it wasn't as big of an issue. So I wouldn't worry about it, but I think it's something to kind of maybe be aware of.
And I think it's great that you're being honest with us, Brennig, because some will settle in like fish to water, and then others would worry that they're not settling in as quickly as some of the others. And obviously you're in touch with your peers all the time. So thanks for being honest about that. Ryan, what's it been like for you since September?
To be honest, I've settled in quite good, to be honest. You know, I was just, you know, first night I got here, you know, met my flatmates, we went out, you know, just got into that sort of clubbing thing. You know, I joined loads of societies and stuff as well. So obviously I play tennis. I do that twice a week on a Wednesday and a Sunday. I've got the Law Society and the Politics Society as well, because obviously they're associated with my degrees. And you know, in terms of homesickness, like Brennig, I didn't really have that sort of homesickness element. Maybe it's because I'm so close to home. You know, I live in Swansea. I'm in Cardiff now, and you know, I FaceTime my parents sort of a couple of times a week or whatever. So, you know, I feel like you will adjust eventually, even if you do get homesickness. Yeah, I think you know, you guys will be fine.
Molly, Durham's a bit far away, isn't it? Up north?
Yeah, it's just a flight, it's fine. No, I thought I'd be terrible. Before I went, I thought I'd be homesick. I thought I'd be crying every night. Like, I really thought I would take it hard. But I've been surprised at how well I've settled in, actually. I think I get along with my flatmates, which really, really helps, because you're all in the same boat. You're all helping each other out. Like, everyone's first time, most people anyways, their first time moving away from home, and we all don't know how to do everything, but everyone does really, like, especially in my flat, like, we all help each other out, so you do feel at home. I also think I don't really have much time to be homesick, because like the terms are relatively short, and within that then you've obviously got all your work, all your assignments and everything. So for me the weeks are absolutely flying by, and before I know it I'm home for a month at Christmas, so that kind of helps. I think if you are sort of struggling with that homesickness as well, just break it up into chunks. So for me, my parents come up halfway through the term and they bring the dogs, which is always a nice like treat for me. So I like to just sort of like think, right, it's only 4 more weeks now and then I'll see my dogs, and you know, it just breaks it up that little bit more. Go and visit a friend. Like, there are ways, if you are struggling, like the going away for a weekend and just seeing a friend. I did that a few weeks ago and it does make the world a difference.
Great. Diolch yn fawr, Molly. Rosa?
Sorry. So obviously I started uni last year when there were some serious COVID restrictions about. So even though I thought I kind of managed to adjust well, obviously in Oxford we have a collegiate system. So I'm living within a college, which is kind of like a uni within a uni. So it's definitely more small scale, and it was to an extent maybe a bit easier to meet people because we're also kind of close together as such, and there's only so many people I guess you can meet within a college. But obviously with all the COVID restrictions last year, I wasn't able to join maybe many societies, wasn't able to do as much sport as I maybe have wished. So I've kind of treated my second year now as kind of like a refreshers kind of thing. So I've really taken the opportunities I can to do as much sport as I can. So I do netball for the uni. So I've been able to meet people in different years, in different colleges. That's been great. And also, I'm the president of the Welsh Society here. And I think that honestly is a really good part of maybe trying to tackle homesickness, because the Welsh Society here, here at least, is kind of, it is like a home away from home, because with all the Welsh people here in the uni, it's as if we have something in common, whether that be where we're from, mutual friends, even the Welsh language. And that in itself is, if we ever meet up, if we have socials or anything, that in itself is very, very warm, a very warm environment. And just honestly is so nice to kind of meet people that you have things in common with, not just based maybe on academic interests.
Rosa, I'll share a little story with the four of you and anybody else listening and watching. At the age of 22, 3, I spent some time in Cambridge and I was homesick. I'd done my degree, I was doing my postgrad, and I knew Aberystwyth inside out. They took me to Cambridge and I was so homesick for a while. But I just remembered it was the Mabinogi Society, which made me feel better. And look how old I was. So again, if you're listening, you get over that. And it was about finding yourself, finding what's right for you. Use that as a platform. After then, no stopping. I had a great time then. But there is a lovely question here, and I'm picking up on what Molly mentioned, really. You mentioned you get along well with your roommates. What happens if you don't? Oh, you're nodding, Ryan. What would be your advice if you don't get along with your roommates?
Like, to be fair, I get on with my flatmates really well, actually. So obviously I'm not really sure if I can relate. However, I do have friends here who don't get on, sort of like kitchen disputes and stuff like that, but I would say, if you join societies and socials, I feel like you will make friends that way. You could, and also people on your course. So I feel like, and obviously, you can go out during the day to study at a library with your friends and stuff. So that sort of limits the aspect of being with your flatmates as much. Yeah, so, I'm not really sure, like, what more to say, yeah.
But I think you're fair. You know of people who don't. And I imagine anybody else got anything to add on that one? I'm just looking at Rosa.
I guess for me, I was lucky enough in my first year to kind of get on with my flatmates as well. However, the way I think I like to look at it is when you start uni, I don't know, you might be shy or something. I was quite shy when I started. However, the way I like to see things is if you, for example, if you want to ask someone to go, maybe just go out for a coffee or something, or to go to the library together, maybe you might be a bit nervous to ask someone. However, kind of flipping the situation around and thinking if someone had asked me, I'd be so happy and so chuffed with that. So kind of remembering that everyone is in the exact same boat and everyone's feeling the same. And although maybe some people might appear as way more confident, deep down, they're all in the same boat and everyone's kind of struggling and getting used to making new friends.
Yeah, cyngor gwych fanna, because even that cup of coffee or going to the library, sometimes we think of socializing as the things outside your academic work, because there's another question there. I'm very introverted and find it hard to socialize with others. Any tips? And in a way, you've just indicated it doesn't have to be the going out. It could be in the library. When you were, what made you feel better, Brennig? What helped you?
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. What Rosa was saying, that it isn't. I think there maybe is a fear that uni culture is just kind of going out all the time, like as in going out, and that is obviously a part of it if that's what you want to do. But you don't have to, and there's no pressure to. And you know, as these guys have been saying about kind of clubs and societies, and maybe people on your course or people you know, I find that you kind of run into people all the time. You know, like Oxford, for example, is like obviously a big like uni city. So it's full of students kind of walking around, and you end up having conversations. And yeah, I think I was very worried about kind of going to a new place and not knowing anyone, and kind of being completely on my own. And especially because I think I can be kind of quite introverted sometimes, but it is actually much easier than you think. Kind of, there are people who are like-minded and who are quite literally in the same position where they don't know anyone either, and they're looking for friends, and everyone's a bit kind of like lost and lonely at the start. So I think you know, you'll find your people, I think.
There's a question here, Brennig. I'll start with you. How do you find information about different societies or extracurricular courses? What's the best place to do that? What was it like for you to find out about those places?
Yeah, well, I think most universities have a freshers fair during freshers week, which I would definitely recommend going to. For us, it was kind of walking around this big building with all these different stalls, and kind of writing your email down for lots of them, and then ignoring a lot of those emails for the rest of the year. But also kind of actually, you know, going along to certain events, and I think, you know, just trying out lots of different things and not feeling that you have to commit to anything particularly, but just kind of seeing what works for you, and how you cope best, basically.
Did you have a favourite society or event that you like to be part of, Brennig?
I was in the Welsh Society in Oxford, and I boxed in my second year, and that was really good.
And better, because I mentioned the Mabinogi, is that the David Ap Gwilym?
It is, yeah, Cymdeithas
But keeping a balance between these Oxbridge students.
Yeah.
Lovely. Up in Durham, how did you get associated with the different events or extracurricular stuff?
Yeah, we had a freshers fair as well. That was good, just to go and have it to see the societies. But there's also, they were all on the student union's website. So even after the freshers fair, I kind of just came back and had a little look. We're a collegiate system at Durham, so there's a lot you can get involved with within the college, which isn't so like intense. So sports, for example, if you don't want to be like competing for Durham, like 6 a.m. rehearsals, then you can just play for your college. Sort of, it's a bit more chilled out. So I was very much, if I was going to do any sport, it would have been that. I think I got peer pressured into joining like skipping society or something silly like that in freshers week. I've not heard anything, but yeah, you'll find yourself signing up for things and you're like, what am I doing that for? But it's all part of it, I suppose. I'm getting involved with the outreach campaigns at my college, so I'm going to be the campaigns officer. And there's lots of things like that that you can get involved with as well. It doesn't have to necessarily be, because I knew I wasn't sporty or I wasn't really like musically gifted, so I thought that kind of ruled out my options. But actually there is a lot that you can get involved with that doesn't involve that. I'm also in the Welsh Society at Durham. It's a lot of fun. We have lots of socials, and yeah, I think some of my non-Welsh friends are actually pretty jealous because we do have good times.
Molly, what's the name of your society in Durham? I've got to keep a balance here.
Oh, it's just the DU Welsh Society. We haven't got a cool name.
That's all right then. Now, Ryan, you mentioned sport earlier. So were you aware of that before you went to Cardiff, or how did that happen?
Yeah, so obviously, before I went to Cardiff, I did sort of look up on Facebook and Twitter and stuff, and on the student union website, like Molly said, about tennis. And obviously, then when we went to the Freshers Fair, obviously scanning a lot of QR codes or whatever to sign up to stuff. So yeah, I did research before, and that definitely helped because then I sort of knew what I wanted to join when I got here. And also, I will say as well, when you go to your like first social or whatever, like don't be scared or whatever, because I was actually terrified going to my first tennis social, because usually they do like themes and stuff. But no, just like embrace it. You know, it's gonna be good. Yeah.
Great. Diolch, Ryan. A Rosa, rhywbeth tebyg I ti?
Yeah, basically yr un peth. Fi'n gwybod fan hyn yn Caergrawnt ni'n fel siŵr o fod Facebook yw'r rwydwaith mwyaf o ran fel mae cymdeithasau'n cysylltu gyda pobl. But yeah, I think one of the main things to remember when it comes to societies or clubs as such is if you maybe go to one social, that doesn't mean you have to commit for an entire term or the entire 3 years that you're there for. If you don't like it, it doesn't matter. No one's gonna shout at you. No one's gonna hate you if you don't come back. And I think just going into things with an open mind, even if something you think might not necessarily suit you, just maybe going with a friend, taking a friend with you, or just going by yourself, having that confidence and remembering it's not the be all and end all.
And I think the society I've heard about recently, I hadn't heard about, a custard cream society. Have you heard about that one? There we are. A good pub quiz question, maybe. Which university offers that? A question nesa, and I'm going to start with Rosa this time. How to fit in social life, university work and home chores? How is balance rhwng bywyd a gwaith? What's the best way of keeping that balance?
Felly I fi, yn y flwyddyn gyntaf, fi'n meddwl nes I ffindo fe'n anodd o leia yn y tymor cyntaf I kind of delio gyda yr holl beth o ran mynd allan, cymdeithasu gyda phobl, a hefyd wneud gwaith, wrth gwrs, achos ni'n cael lot fan hyn. But for me, I think the best thing to do would kind of have a schedule as such. I know I'm probably not the best person to say this, but I guess what I would do is maybe find a chunk in the day where you can work. So maybe you'll have lectures in the morning and then decide that then you'll work, maybe have your lunch, then you'll work maybe 1 till 5 or 1 till 3, have a break, then 3 till 6 or something. And then you can have the evening off. I think working during the day is probably the best piece of advice I could give, because in a lot of uni culture is people staying up all night, writing essays, doing all-nighters. And if that becomes kind of a recurring thing for you, I think you can burn out so quickly, and then you can end up missing out on opportunities to be with your friends, to go to these societies, to do your sport if you have training at early hours in the morning. So I think just having that motivation just to stick at it and getting things done, and rather than keep pushing things back. And obviously it's tough when we have our phones because I'm guilty of that, just going on my phone when I should be maybe reading or writing an essay. But I think just really going to the library is a huge motivation for me, because being surrounded by so many other people who are working hard, is really motivating. But yeah, I think working during the day is probably a good piece of advice.
Diolch. Ryan, you're nodding there.
Yeah, I would say definitely get a schedule going, because honestly, when I started uni, obviously, they just gave us a lot of work. I remember one day I worked like 9 in the morning through to 10 at night, and I barely had a break. And I was so burnt out the next day. So I think that's when I realized I need a schedule. I need to sort of divide my time up, and getting that social life balance is so important, because otherwise you're just going to be consumed by your work all the time. And I feel like once you've got that balance in place, you'll have just a healthier lifestyle. Planning around your assignments as well, I think, is really key too.
Brennig, was that a challenge for you?
Yeah, I think because I had essentially kind of deadlines every week, kind of constantly writing essays and trying to keep up with them. So I think Ryan and Rosa are both absolutely right that you can fall into the trap of almost like exclusively working. And I think it's really important then to not just schedule your work, but also kind of make sure that there are gaps in that schedule where you say, I'm going to go and have a coffee with a friend, or if you do like to go out, like maybe you say one evening you're going to go to the pub, so you know that during the day then you need to have reached a certain point to be able to do that. Yeah, and it's difficult because, you know, university is a time when you haven't got people like breathing down your back and telling you what to do all the time. You haven't got parents or teachers doing that for you. So you really are much more independent, and you have to work out what suits you. And that's kind of daunting, but it is also, I think, a really positive thing, because it means that, you know, as long as you get it done, you do it how you want to do it, and you'll work out how to do it best as you go along, I think.
And Molly, how much contact time? I imagine with maths, you have a lot of contact time. So how do you plan your schedule?
Yeah, I have quite a lot of contact hours in comparison to other people, although some things are still sort of shifting between online and in person. I think kind of what everyone has said already speaks volumes, you know, just going to the library is a massive thing, sort of, because I do have a lot of contact hours, but they're often quite spaced out. So instead of coming back home, because I know I would just do nothing for the 2 hours, I'll just pop into the library, and because everyone is around you, like Rosa was saying, you just go into this like headspace of doing your work. And I think that's so important then, so you know when you come home. I mean, for me, it's like sort of my dinner time. I like to know that I can go downstairs, have a meal with everyone, and not have to stress about, oh, I've got 10 other assignments that I've got to do upstairs. Sort of, we were still speaking about getting along with your flatmates. Like, that's a great thing, but it's also a massive distraction, because obviously you come downstairs to just like, you know, get a snack in between working, and next thing you know is 2 hours later you're all still chatting. So if you know you've got something that needs doing, I would say put yourself in an environment, unless you've got more self-control than me, put yourself in an environment where you're sort of forced in the right headspace to do your work, like the library or even a coffee shop. I quite like just going into this city centre and just having a coffee, doing work for a couple of hours, just to get out of your room, because it's really not healthy, as we saw last year with students. Like, it's not healthy to be in your room doing your work, doing everything. So I would say to sort of just force yourself out a little bit and force that balance in a way. But I'm still learning how to do it now. It's a slow process.
And what you're learning is when you're in the world of work, it's the same, thinking, okay, you want to socialize, but you've got to do your work. Or sometimes you do too much work and you don't give yourself that me time that Brennan was talking about. Ryan, I've got a question. I think you're most apt to answer this one. It might not be relevant to the three, because you're nearest to home. The question is, if studying in your home city, do you recommend living in dorms for first year to gain independence? Now, did you consider staying in Swansea, Ryan?
Yeah, so I had Swansea down as my insurance choice in case I didn't get into Cardiff. Um, I would have stayed at home, but in hindsight now, based off my experience here in Cardiff, I would go into dorms, because I feel like, you know, you've got to sort of get that independence. I think that is so important. Like, I cannot stress this enough. You need that independence, and you know, life skills as well, you know, doing your own laundry, sort of cleaning and stuff like that, you know. So yeah, and you know, you're going to make loads of friends as well. You know, you might not necessarily have so much social time when you're at home, you know, traveling back and forth into uni. So no, I would recommend living in dorms personally.
Okay. Right, I've got a question now on money, because there are about 3 or 4 questions here on financial matters. How to manage money, how to manage my student loan effectively, and is there somebody to talk to about personal or financial support in university? Rosa, was that an issue for you, or is there easy access of support there?
Well, definitely here in Cambridge, or at least in the college that I attend, there is huge financial support, and there's bursaries, and there's like a lot of welfare staff that you can talk to about if you're struggling financially. So yeah, if I ever found myself in a situation where I'm struggling, there's definitely those resources that you could talk to and turn to. And I think it's important not to feel maybe embarrassed as such um, if you feel like you need to talk to someone. Yeah, I think like at least here, like we're very lucky that we have these resources available.
And similar for you when you were in Oxford, Brennig, in terms of student loan and managing that, was that a challenge?
I think it was slightly easier in Oxford because, again, like the collegiate system, and you basically pay like a big bill at the start and the end of term. So I didn't have to worry about kind of dealing with landlords and kind of electric, water and things like that, which I'm so grateful for. But it's still kind of important to keep track of your money. I would definitely recommend changing your bank account to a student bank account, which enables you to have I think something like a £500 overdraft limit. So if kind of worse comes to worse and all your money goes, you do have like a safety net there, which I think is really comforting to know. And I think I would also recommend potentially kind of keeping track of your spending, not necessarily in a really like intense kind of hyper detailed way with like spreadsheets and things, but I was kind of aware of like when I was going out and what I'd spent at the pub and at the shop and things, and if you spend too much one place, you pull back somewhere else, and just kind of keep abreast of it in that way.
Yeah, don't get it running away, out of control. It's like that scheduling. It's that balance again, isn't it? But the important thing, and I won't ask Ryan and Molly the same question, but I imagine to those of you watching and listening, there will be that support at each institution. The most important thing, as we've just said, is talk about it if there's a concern. Don't let it get out of control. Molly, because you did work experience and you took that gap year, I want to ask you this next question. Will getting a job while studying in university be a huge distraction? What's your take on that one?
I think it can be difficult because obviously you do have a lot. It's a demanding, especially depending where you go. Like some, I don't know, degree you study, some things require more time. And I'm sort of I'm actually going through that debate right now myself, where I've sort of been offered to go back into my tutoring job, and it's kind of like thinking, oh God, like I need the money, but how do I sort of manage the time? It always goes back to that time management thing. I personally think I will go back to it just because having worked for a year as well, I'm used to seeing that income coming in and going out and working and getting that money back. And I like knowing that I'm doing something for myself, So I do think I'm going to make the decision to go back. It is going to be difficult, but maybe just don't sign yourself up for something that you can't fully commit to. It's better off to just say, look, I'm just going to do one Saturday shift and then build it up from there. Don't go from nothing to just doing like a 16-hour-a-week job, because you'll find that jump a lot bigger then. So that's personally what I'm going to do now. I'm going to sort of ease myself back into it, just slowly pick up different students and do it that way. Tutoring perhaps is a good option actually. Now I'm on the subject, because it's a bit more flexible. I started this tutoring job when I was back home in Wales, so I'm still going to be tutoring through Welsh, and it's all online now, so it's quite convenient for me. It's an hour out of my day kind of thing. So that could be an option for students rather than, going into a market or doing the retail hospitality jobs. But there are lots of jobs advertised as well. At least I know with Durham, we get emails every week about jobs on campus. And if you get a job on campus, they are a bit more flexible with you. Like they know the demands of being a student, and they can appreciate when you say I have deadlines. Like they don't push you on that, whereas the likes of supermarkets probably would. So if you are worried, maybe those are two options if you do want to work, which personally I liked working.
You've got a great work ethic, Molly, da iawn ti. So felly gallai gael tutorials yn Gymraeg da ti ar-lein yn mathemateg, gallai?
Os ti eisiau, mae hynny'n iawn.
There we are. I can have my online maths tutorials from Molly in Welsh and in English. Just out of interest, Rosa, Brennig or Ryan, have either of you, or did either of you have a job whilst at university or any, no? Concentrating on your work. But again, we've heard about those extracurricular stuff. Give yourself time to do those things as well to enjoy life, really, Indra. What do you wish you knew before you went to uni? Is it that long ago, Brennig? If I asked you that question first, what did you wish you knew before you went to uni?
Yeah, it is a good question.
It is.
I think adjusting to university life, everyone does it differently, and I think not to put so much pressure on yourself. I remember kind of making uni into this huge thing in my head, and it was a huge thing that I was going and doing it and studying, and then when I got there and the reality wasn't quite as like romantic, and there was challenges that I hadn't anticipated. I found that I think I was kind of beating myself up a little bit, like, well, you wanted this, like kind of, you have to kind of do it all and make the most of it and go out all the time. And I think I would just be a bit more compassionate with myself and say, like, it's a big life change, probably the biggest that a lot of people will have faced up until now, and you'll get through it. But kind of, if you kind of struggle a little bit through it, that's completely valid and it's fine, and it doesn't make, there's nothing wrong with you because of that.
Gwych. Diolch yn fawr I ti, Brennig. Rosa, ti'n nodio?
Yeah, I mean, cytuno'n llwyr. I think for me, looking back before I started uni, maybe the biggest piece of advice I'd give to myself is kind of to be kind to myself and not to put too much pressure on myself, because a lot of people listening might be coming from a background where maybe they're at the higher band of like with their results in terms of where they're placed in school. And I think coming into uni or coming into uni and kind of not putting too much pressure on yourself, maybe to become the absolute best and allowing yourself to enjoy and have fun as well. And to an extent, like, it's a long process of kind of allowing yourself to accept maybe you're not the absolute best in one particular essay, or maybe one essay might not be top marks, because obviously you're again adjusting to that kind of this style of university writing if you're doing a humanities subject as well. And from the start, just not expecting your work as such to be maybe the best that you've ever written, as it might have been when you were doing your A levels. So yeah, and I think alongside that, just the idea that it's okay to say no as well. In the sense that, say if your friends are going out and they really want you to come with you, however, maybe at the back of your mind you have a deadline, or if you're just not, if you don't feel like in the mood to go out as such, no one's gonna judge you for saying no, and just putting yourself and your mental health first is probably the most important thing.
Chi'n siarad mor ddoe. A quick exchange. Ryan, come to you, and then we'll finish off this call with Molly. Ryan.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I completely agree with what Brannig and Rosa have all said. Mental health is so important, and you've just got to put yourself first, set boundaries, definitely. And also with like your assignments as well, don't feel pressured if your first assignment isn't that great or whatever. We're all learning at the end of the day. We'll come to uni to learn how to do academic writing and stuff. So, and also with your subject as well, if you feel like you don't really like your subject at the start, I would say just wait, because I feel like eventually you will learn to love your subject. Maybe if you don't like one module or whatever, other modules you will like. So just stick with that, yeah.
Really sound advice. Molly, at ti I orffen felly.
Yeah, so I would just say that everything happens for a reason, and you will end up exactly where you're supposed to end up. I was so worried, so stressed about the whole university process, and obviously having supposed to have gone last year, and then for reasons that are not working out, I really did put pressure on myself, and I thought, oh, this isn't going to be right. What if this happens again? I was just overthinking everything. But actually, I think even though I had a bad experience, I've still come back. And I'm so glad that all went wrong last year, because I wouldn't be at Durham, I wouldn't have the friends that I have now, I wouldn't be doing a course that I love so much. And that's just the main thing I would say. Even though you will have knocks, you'll have knocks through your A levels. You might even have knocks before you start university, personal, academic. There's loads of things that's going on, but it will work out. And if it doesn't make sense now, it's not the end. That's just what you've got to think. You've got to keep pushing through, and you will find your feet, even when you feel like you won't. You will.
Wel, cyngor ardderchog, y 4 na chi, mae wedi bod yn fraint cael chi ar y galwad mae heddi. It's been so beneficial for me listening to you and your honesty. Thank you so much. You've helped all of the Year 12 students adjust to university life when it comes. Diolch yn fawr iawn i chi gyd, a hwyl fawr.
Diolch.
Diolch, Will.
Thank you.
Well, ni wedi cyrraedd hanner y ffordd. We're now halfway through the 2021 conference. Gobeithio chi fwynhau'r drysorfa y wybodaeth na heno. We've enjoyed bringing it to you, and I hope you've benefited too. Thank you once again to all our wonderful panelists, contributors, and experts for your insights and advice over the last 2 days, and for your continued support for Seren. Mae'n diolch ni ddidwyll iawn i chi gyd. A chofiwch am y newyddion arbennig hefyd am wobr Seren. We've announced that there'll be the 4th wave of Seren Award for Academy learners coming up. This opportunity to have the chance to work with an expert PhD tutor on a research topic. Ac os nawr wnaethoch chi gymryd rhan yn ddiweddar, if you didn't participate in the award in November and December, you can apply for a place using the link shown on the screen now. Placements with PhD tutors will be getting underway at the end of January. You have until the 17th of December to apply. Ac i'r ffisegwyr, cofiwch am eich cyfle arbennig chi, you budding physicists. Please remember we have still places left on our coaching support programme for the British Physics Olympiad in March. Seminars start later this month, and the deadline for applying is this Friday, the 10th of December. If you are interested, then please speak to your Seren or physics lead in school or college who can sign you up. Wel, dyna ni am heddi felly. That's it for today. Diwrnod i anturio fori. Tomorrow you'll have the opportunity to explore our exhibition and join the live Q&As with our university partners. Cech wybod am bopeth fydd ar gael y fori wrth i ni gwrdd yn yr un lle ar yr un amser. We'll explain everything that's in store for tomorrow right here. Same place, same time, 6 p.m. See you then.